Surprise decision to pardon his son Hunter. The president issuing a full pardon days before Hunter Biden was set to be sentenced in 2 criminal cases. Mr. Biden saying his son was unfairly prosecuted. The move prompting backlash on both sides. Why the president changed his mind after repeatedly saying a pardon was off the table. Also tonight, President Trump's pick to run the FBI, Kash Patel, under scrutiny. His calls to purge the Bureau's ranks and go after Mr. Trump's adversaries, and the new allegations against Mr. Trump's pick for defense secretary. The massive pileup in Michigan as lake-effect snow slams millions, more than 5 feet in some areas. The race to reach people trapped in their homes. The surprise in the courtroom just as her trial was about to begin, the woman pleading guilty to a DUI crash that killed a bride on her wedding night in South Carolina. The emotional words from the groom and the victim's mother. The news tonight on an Israeli-American soldier believed to have been taken hostage by Hamas. Israel today revealing his fate. The best deals we're tracking with Cyber Monday expected to break records. And more than a year after the devastating Maui wildfires, the homecoming just in time for the holidays.
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
Good evening and welcome. Sharp criticism of President Biden's turnabout and decision to grant a full unconditional pardon to his son Hunter is reverberating on both sides of the political fault lines tonight. The president's characterization of the criminal cases against his son as politicized and unfair, seen as particularly irksome to some fellow Democrats who worry it undermines confidence in the justice system. But it is Republicans tonight who are most outspoken in their responses, calling out the president for lying after previously insisting he would not pardon his son. Kelly O'Donnell with us now with late developments.
After wielding presidential power to protect his son Hunter Biden from a potential prison sentence with a full and unconditional pardon. Tonight, President Biden is facing sharp criticism from Democrats and Republicans, even as some express sympathy for Joe Biden, the father.
If it was my son, I'd pardon him too. But here's what I didn't like. Don't lie to us. Don't tell us you're not going to do it and then do it.
Arizona Congressman, Democrat Greg Stanton.
I'm pretty angry because it's going to be incredibly important that political leaders of both parties stand up for the independence of the Department of Justice.
President Biden and White House officials repeatedly insisted there would be no pardon.
I said I abide by the jury decision. I will do that, and I will not pardon him.
We've been asked that question multiple times. Our answer stands, which is no.
Tonight, on a 3-day visit to Africa, the president did not respond to reporters' questions.
Mr. President, will you answer a few questions?
But at a White House Christmas event, First Lady Jill Biden expressed her support for the pardon. The pardon was first reported by NBC News Sunday night, and shortly thereafter, President Biden explained his grant of clemency in a statement. The president asserted, "I have watched my son being selectively and unfairly prosecuted." The pardon is sweeping, covering not only his son's felony convictions on firearms charges and tax evasion, where he faced potential prison time at sentencing this month. But the president provided more than a decade of blanket protection, preventing further federal prosecution for any offenses dating back to January 2014, months before the younger Biden joined the board of a Ukrainian energy company while his father was vice president. Blaming a heated environment, the president argued that raw politics has infected this process. He invoked his son's recovery from addiction. There's been an effort to break Hunter, who has been 5.5 years sober, and claimed his political adversaries could pose future risk to his family, writing, "In trying to break Hunter, they've tried to break me, and there's no reason to believe it will stop here. Enough is enough."
And Kelly, President-elect Trump also weighed in today.
He did. Mr. Trump reacted in a social media post indirectly by raising the convictions of January 6th rioters as an abuse and miscarriage of justice. And notably, when he was in office in his first term, President Trump pardoned a member of his family by marriage, daughter Ivanka's father-in-law, Charles Kushner, who he's now selected to be the next ambassador to France. Lester?
All right, Kelly O'Donnell, thank you. There's growing fallout tonight about President-elect Trump's picks for two top jobs, Pete Hegseth as Defense Secretary and Kash Patel as FBI Director. Garrett Hake has more now from Capitol Hill, where their confirmation futures are uncertain.
Tonight, Donald Trump's embattled selection for Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth on Capitol Hill, following shocking new reports about his personal conduct. Hegseth ignoring questions as he met with Republican senators.
Appreciate the opportunity to talk to senators today. It's a great process.
A new article from The New Yorker revealing the contents of a previously undisclosed 2015 report written by former employees of a veterans organization Hegseth ran, alleging he was repeatedly intoxicated, quote, to the point of needing to be carried out of the organization's events. The New Yorker reporting he was eventually forced to step down.
So that article suggests you have an alcohol problem.
Okay, thank you guys. All right, thanks guys. Let's go.
NBC News has not independently verified the report. Hegseth's attorney declined to comment, but in a statement to The New Yorker, an advisor said the claims were, quote, outlandish and came from a petty and jealous, disgruntled former associate. The Trump transition team referred NBC News to a previous statement in support of Hegseth. Meanwhile, the New York Times is reporting Hegseth's mother sent him an email in 2018 during his second divorce, calling him, quote, an abuser of women. Penelope Hegseth writing, quote, I have no respect for any man that belittles, lies, cheats, sleeps around, and uses women for his own power and ego. NBC News has not independently obtained the email, but Mrs. Hegseth told the Times she apologized almost immediately and disavowed her original note.
Pete's the type of guy that he's going to work. He's got great work ethic. He's very, very smart.
And on Saturday, President-elect Trump naming Kash Patel as his choice to take over the FBI. Patel, a fierce Trump ally and an outspoken critic of the Bureau.
I'd shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one and reopening the next day as a museum of the deep state.
Patel would replace Trump appointee Christopher Wray, who was just 7 years into a 10-year term, and would have to be fired or resign to clear the way for Patel, a former public defender, federal prosecutor, and Trump national security official.
He's experienced not only in putting criminals behind bars, but also can understand what happens when government overreaches.
Patel has little management experience and has promoted lies that the 2020 election was stolen.
We will follow the facts and the law and go to courts of law and correct these justices and lawyers who have been prosecuting these cases based on politics.
The combative Trump loyalist is also the author of a children's book, The Plot Against the King, in which a wizard-like Kash defends King Donald.
If you have the power of that office, the FBI directorate, and you're using it to go after political enemies or the press or people you regard as adversaries, that's worse than incompetence. That's abuse of power that you have.
And Gary, now that we're past the holiday, can we expect to see more of the focus turned to the nominees this week?
We certainly can, Lester. We expect to see more of these selections on Capitol Hill this week, including the controversial selection of Tulsi Gabbard for Director of National Intelligence. These confirmation hearings themselves likely won't begin until January. More time for the senators to get to know these picks and for more news to come out about them. Lester?
All right, Garrett Hake tonight. Thanks. Tonight, millions of people from the Midwest to the Northeast are still digging out after getting slammed by as much as 5 feet of lake-effect snow. Aaron McLaughlin is in Erie, Pennsylvania, and Aaron, even more snow expected there.
That's right, Lester. Here along the Great Lakes, that lake effect snow is still coming down, and now another storm system is on the way. Tonight, the relentless wintry blast wreaking havoc, with icy conditions causing this pileup, shutting down a section of the interstate in Michigan. One driver now in critical condition, according to Michigan State Police, while millions dig their way out of a shocking amount of snow.
This one has been the worst one that I've dealt with for as long as I can remember.
From Michigan to Buffalo, New York, and in Erie, Pennsylvania, the snow caught everyone by surprise, initially overwhelming the county's robust snowplow system, causing rooftops to buckle and trapping thousands in their homes for days, according to county officials.
I just could not open that door, so I put all my weight into it, and I was like, okay, this is what we're rolling with.
Kimberly Stoller was stuck for 3 days, forced to rely on Thanksgiving leftovers for food. She just escaped this evening. You panicked just a little?
Maybe a tad, because I was like, okay, hold on. This is actually getting to a rather serious point.
This kind of storm can be lethal. a fact that weighs heavily on Erie County Executive Brenton Davis, who today personally responded to a call of an elderly man trapped in his home and relying on oxygen.
What were you going to do if they didn't come help you?
Davis says on a good day, his county ambulance services are stretched.
You might wait 30 minutes on a sunny day. You add this, it could be hours.
It could be deadly.
It's 100% deadly. It costs people lives every time.
Hard to believe just 2 weeks ago, first responders were focused on this. Unprecedented brush fires in Pennsylvania, fire and ice no one here thought possible, with winter still weeks away. Erin McLaughlin, NBC News, Erie, Pennsylvania.
There was anger and heartbreak in a South Carolina courtroom today as a woman pleaded guilty and was sentenced in a drunk driving case that killed a bride on her wedding night. Priya Sridhar has more.
Tonight, 27-year-old Jamie Lee Komorowski sentenced to 25 years behind bars for killing 34-year-old Samantha Miller just hours after she got married in April 2023. Komorowski addressing the judge before the sentencing.
And that I take full responsibility for my actions. Hopefully one day you will be able to forgive me.
Prosecutors say Komorowski was bar hopping in Folly Beach, 30 minutes from downtown Charleston, when she got behind the wheel and plowed into a golf cart, carrying Miller, her groom Eric Hutchinson, and 2 other family members who were driving the newlyweds to their rental after their wedding reception.
We've been sentenced to a lifetime of pain.
Prosecutors say Komorowski's blood alcohol was 3 times over the legal limit, and she was driving 65 miles per hour in a 25 mile per hour zone.
Said died that night, so she didn't have to go alone.
Miller's groom, Eric Hutchinson, broke both his legs and multiple bones in his face and sustained serious brain injuries. Tonight, Miller's family speaking to Komorowski.
For the rest of my life, I'm gonna hate you. And when I arrive in hell and you come there, I'll open the door for you.
The judge sentenced Komorowski to 10 to 25 years for each of the charges she faced, but she's letting them serve them concurrently. Lester?
Priya, thank you. In the Middle East, there is word tonight on the fate of 2 American hostages held in Gaza as another conflict, this one in Syria, reignites. Matt Bradley now with late details.
Tonight, the fate of 2 young American-Israeli hostages coming into focus. Israel's military announced today that Omer Nutra, a 21-year-old IDF soldier from New York, was killed in the Hamas terror attacks on October 7th. For more than 400 days, his family thought he was still alive. His mother at a rally for hostages yesterday before word of his death.
We pray that this time miracles should happen, and they should happen really quickly.
Along with that news, word another American hostage is still alive. Appearing in a Hamas propaganda video on Saturday, Idan's mother appealing to Israel's prime minister and president for a hostage deal. While in Gaza, U.S.-based charity World Central Kitchen pausing its operations after 3 of its local staff members were killed in an Israeli airstrike. Israel said 1 of the 3 had participated in the October 7 terrorism, but the organization said it has no knowledge of any of the staff in the targeted vehicle having participated in that day's attacks. Meanwhile, war in the Middle East appears to be spreading. Syrian rebels launched their first major offensive against the regime of Bashar al-Assad in nearly 5 years. The regime and its Russian backers answering, with more than 400 airstrikes in the cities of Aleppo and Idlib, according to a UK-based human rights group.
Thousands of people, if we can say now, fleeing their homes. The situation is getting worse and worse as we are talking now.
The big question now is whether the Assad regime will mobilize to defend itself or whether the rebels will keep winning territory. Lester?
Matt Bradley, thank you. In 60 seconds, the frenzy of holiday shopping now well underway. But just how well are retailers doing and where are the best deals? We'll have that after this. It is Cyber Monday, and this year sales are expected to shatter records. Our Brian Chung has been tracking the best deals, and he's at Amazon where they are rushing to fill orders tonight. Brian.
Lester, I spent the day at this Amazon fulfillment center where they're busier than ever. After record online sales industry-wide on both Thanksgiving and Black Friday, Cyber Monday sales are expected to hit their own record, $13.2 billion, a 6% bump from last year. Experts say the best sales today will be on items like fall apparel and electronics. And as a reminder, it is December 2nd already, and a later Thanksgiving means there are 5 fewer days to get those gifts shipped before Christmas, which could make this Cyber Monday an even bigger rush than years past. Lester?
All right, Brian, thanks. Up next, why having a baby is plunging more Americans into debt. And the first call you should make if you get an overwhelming bill. It's our series, The Cost of Living, next. Back now with a growing problem for new parents. With out-of-pocket costs rising even for many families who have insurance, more parents are taking on enormous debt after giving birth. Maggie Vespa, in partnership with the USC Center for Health Journalism, has our report.
Why do you have a spoon?
At nearly 2, Jessica Hurley's twin boys are as old as the debt that accompanied their births. The Springfield, Illinois toddlers arrived 2 months early, Kinzer naturally and Perry via emergency C-section, only to begin a harrowing weeks-long stay in the neonatal intensive care unit.
They were hooked up to machines, and multiple times they would turn blue in my arms and their hearts were essentially stopping.
So, your babies are in the NICU, you're dealing with this trauma, and then you start getting the bills.
Then they just kept coming. He's about to drive up.
A dental hygienist and career laborer, Jessica and her husband Jimmy have insurance through his union. These are all your bills?
Yes.
This one's for $5,200. This one's for $2,200.
Go sit at your table, guys.
But their plan caps out-of-pocket costs at $28,500 per calendar year. The twins were born in late December, resetting that cap on January 1st and leaving the couple on the hook to meet it twice. Their account balance topping $80,000 after insurance.
I do find that this comes as a surprise for patients.
Dr. Nora Becker, a health economist with the University of Michigan, says the Hurleys, who have 4 children total, were swept into a growing trend among middle-class American families who make too much money to qualify for Medicaid, relying on private, often employer-provided insurance with increasingly high deductibles. And while most Americans with insurance through their jobs pay around $3,600 out of pocket for childbirth-related costs, data analyzed by the Healthcare Cost Institute shows for about a quarter of those Americans, childbirth costs $5,000 or more.
This is how private health insurance works for everybody. It's just that low and middle income families are the ones who bear the brunt of it.
Her advice to families expecting: check your plan beforehand and consider switching to options with lower deductibles, even if the monthly premium is higher. And if you get hit with big bills, don't ignore them. Negotiate. Jessica did, and nearly 2 years later managed to whittle her family's debt down to roughly $11,500, more than a quarter of which they've paid.
And a quiet old lady who was whispering, hush.
The remaining debt prompting Jessica to avoid seeking treatment for postpartum depression, fearing more bills.
Financially, it's ruined us. And all that happened to me was I had babies. Izzy, go inside.
The cost of living hitting this family hard right from the start. Maggie Vespa, NBC News, Springfield, Illinois.
And coming up, there's good news tonight. A joyful homecoming in Hawaii, the first more than a year after the fire that devastated Lahaina. Next. There is good news tonight on Maui, where the town of Lahaina is celebrating a milestone after last year's devastating wildfire. Morgan Chesky now with a Hawaii homecoming just in time for the holidays.
On an island where heritage runs deep, the town of Lahaina is out to prove a painful past does not define its future.
Everything was perfect.
Which is why for the Ahi family of 4,
We got a bathroom with a crying baby.
this home tour is historic.
And then we've got 3 bedrooms right now.
A 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom miracle rising from the ashes after one of Maui's darkest days.
You don't appreciate it until you lose it, you know.
We worked really, really hard for that house. And it's hard to see your hard work gone.
Mau and Ariel Ahi's dream home, one of the more than 2,000 lost to a fire, forcing many to leave for good, as Lahaina figured out how to reclaim their paradise.
There's so many people that need help that I'm just trying to do what I can.
Derek Montalvo helping the Ahis fast-track building on a bigger, better home.
I can't believe it. We're just grateful and so blessed.
Lahaina's very first home back, receiving a Hawaiian blessing all its own, with more than 100 other homes following their lead.
We look at this home as like a hokupa'a, as a North Star.
I just want the kids to experience what I grew up with, the ocean, the rivers, family. This is the home.
Morgan Chesky, NBC News.
And that is nightly news for this Monday. Thank you for watching.